Hi guys, welcome to another video. This video is all about my path to pro and also my journey and how I ended up playing professional football in the United States. It's in podcast style with Nedum Onuoha, who currently plays for Real Salt Lake in the MLS. He's an English guy, top guy. I grew up watching Nedum in the Premier League when I was younger. He's had 188 appearances in the Premier League for teams like Man City. He went on loan to Sunderland. He also played for QPR, and he's playing for RSL now. He's 32, so he's coming to the back end of his career, so he decided to start a podcast called Kickback on Spotify. It's a really cool podcast. He's had some really cool guests on there, and I was fortunate enough to join him on the podcast. And I thought it'd be a really good opportunity to answer some of the questions that you guys have been asking me about my path to pro, and also how I came over to the United States. So I hope you all enjoy the video. Let's get straight on into it.
Welcome to Kickback, my people. Big thanks to all the regular listeners and hello to all the newbies. Thankfully, that Tricky First podcast feels like a lifetime ago. And I hope you've enjoyed all the guests as much as I have so far. And with that in mind, I've only gone and found another Brit abroad. This fella started as a youngster in England and is now running the show for the Real Monarchs here in Utah. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jack Blake. That was good, huh? That was good.
It's fantastic,
You
mate.
like that one?
Brilliant.
Yeah, I'm glad you did. I'm glad you like that. I remember when I first came here, I trained with your team, which I knew nothing about. But you were very, when I heard your voice, I was like, yeah, this is exactly what I need right now. Obviously, being at altitude, there was no air for me to breathe or anything like this, so I didn't know anybody's name. But I heard this voice of someone who sounded like they're from the Midlands.
Yes, sir.
And that was you, my friend.
Yes, sir.
So firstly, I want to thank you for making me feel welcome when I first came. But now I'm going to grill you. I'm going to grill you for a little while. Are you ready for this?
Let's do it.
All right. Well, like me, your initial younger days started in England. Tell the listeners out there, actually, whereabouts in England were you and how did you end up there?
So, I was actually born in Worksop.
Okay.
And
is it Lee Westwood from there as well?
yes, he is. Yes.
Trivia.
Wow.
What a nerd.
That's about the only person famous from Worksop, I think.
No, it was you two together.
Yeah, so was born there, and then my parents divorced when I was 3 or 4, and then both moved down to Nottingham. So grew up in Nottingham. Grew up 10 minutes away from the Nottingham Forest Stadium, where they have Trent Bridge, Notts County Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Just the whole city embedded in sport, and from a young age I was always kicking a ball, and I guess I've always wanted to play for Forest. It was the biggest team in the city, and yeah, grew up playing in school, playing local team, and then finally made it into the academy when I was 7.
You were 7, that early?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's different from back in my day. So how long were you at the academy for?
So what I did was I was scouted by Forest and Notts County when I was 7.
Big rivals for anyone that doesn't know.
Yes, they are.
Even though they never play against each other.
Yes. Never ever.
Yeah.
Even further away now.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, at the time I actually chose to play for Notts County. Obviously I was too young to really make any decisions, but my dad was always very involved in my football, and he played for Leeds United Academy growing up when he was younger.
Mm-hmm.
So at the time, Notts County seemed to be a little bit of a better fit. They had some really good coaches in there, and it was run very well. And then it slowly, as Notts County got into some compensation money issues, the academy started to deteriorate. So when I was about 9 or 10, made the jump over to Forest.
Okay. Sold your soul then, basically.
Yes.
Right, good on you.
Signed
I
my
don't
life
mind
away.
it. Yeah, I don't mind it. Don't mind it. And who, actually, which year did you end up, how old were you when you ended up leaving there?
So I was 21 when I left Forest in 2015.
2015. And
Yeah.
who, which in your age group, who were the players who made it through there?
Okay, so growing up and in the youth team, when we went and did the FA Youth Cup run.
How far did you get in that run?
The first year, when I was a first year scholar, we got to the quarters. And then the next year, when I was second year, we made the semis, lost on penalties.
Who to?
Norwich.
Norwich.
Yeah, we don't talk about that night anymore though. In my household.
Hold on a second. Did someone take a penalty? Is this what's happened?
Someone might have taken a penalty.
And where did that go? Keeper save it, or did you miss the target?
Keeper did save it.
Do you remember the keeper?
I don't. I just wanted the ground to swallow me up in that moment.
Do you know, credit to you, because I like the idea of taking a penalty, but you'll never see me stepping up to take one in my whole career, my friend. It's not going to happen. Yeah, it's good effort. I remember when I was at City's Academy, we got to the semi-final once, I think. Played against Middlesbrough, and literally 3/4 of their team ended up playing for Middlesbrough within the next 2-3 years. But that's when their team was trying to be really progressive with the youngsters and all that.
Yeah, they were difficult to play against. I was thinking about it as well. When it would have been 2008, 2009, I watched Man City play against Forest in the FA Youth Cup. I think it was a quarter-final. You guys absolutely tonked us.
Well, that's to be expected, you know what I mean? That's the real team.
But you had Sturridge in there, Mika Richards.
Yeah. Do you know, it's funny you say that, because I think I remember watching that team go through the Youth Cup.
Yeah.
They were a decent team.
Very good. I was a ball boy that night as well.
Yeah, you quickly learn from those guys.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting... So before we go any further, because you've mentioned Nottingham so many times, something's just gone off in the back of my mind. And there's one time in my career where I scored a perfect hat-trick, and it just so happened to be against Nottingham Forest.
Wow.
And to say more about it, I was playing centre-back as well.
No way.
But those were the elite days.
3 set pieces.
well, you know, it doesn't really matter like where the balls came from, but there was a right foot, there was a left foot, and there was a header.
Wow.
And then from there, everything just went straight down. Straight down. But, you know, it's so good. So, why did you end up leaving Forest?
So, it was a very difficult period of time for me when I left Forest. It was a club that I'd almost been born into. You know, I was that young and I'd always wanted to play for them. I had quite a unique academy experience as well. I left conventional schooling when I was 14 and went into private tuition with the club.
Why was that?
So what that allowed me to do was get my core grades, so maths, English, science, all that stuff, through the club, one-on-one tuition, and then I would train every day with the youth team. So when I was 14, 15, I was training with 16, 17, 18-year-olds, and I was basically like a full-time scholar. And that really sort of was the catalyst for my development, really. I had some really good experiences going abroad as well. I went and trained with teams abroad, so I started with Brescia in Italy. Okay. I would go there for like 1 or 2 weeks. I would train with their academy, then come back, and I would almost report back to our academy manager with what I saw, the drills, and it was a fantastic experience for me to do that as well.
That is very unique.
So I did Brescia, I did Deportivo La Coruña, I did Atletico Madrid, AZ Alkmaar.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was insane. You know, from 14 to 16, football-wise and experience, it was probably the best 2 years I've had experience-wise.
Yeah, that does sound incredible. I think there's only one other person I can think of that's had something similar-ish. Do you remember central midfielder for Man City, Michael Johnson?
I do. Crippled with injuries, wasn't he?
Yeah, so he had to retire and whatnot, but when he was coming through, I think he'd basically been everywhere, and I think he trained somewhere in Holland, I think. Mm-hmm. And you could see it in the way that he played, you know, because I don't know if it was the same when you were coming through, but when I was coming through, the traditional style of an English player was one which isn't necessarily what it is right now.
No.
You know, you had to be able to back yourself physically, and it's good if you had quality, but quality without the physicality meant that you were going to be overlooked. Because some of the best players I've ever played with, they're not playing anymore, and they never made it because they were missing that little something. You know, you have to have heart first, and then step up into it. But then he had that heart, had the physicality, but then he had this he played the game a bit differently, and he just looked exceptional because he was doing it. Whereas now, if he was to come through, it might be as normal comes, you know what I mean? But yeah, he was the other one. And so you left at 21, and how did you end up over here? Because I've been on Google, I'm not going to lie. I've googled the life out of you. Every bit of info I can find on you is like written down on a sheet of paper in front of me. But just how did it come to be? Because if you're like me, back in England, there's no coverage of anything over here that's not MLS. So how did you end up coming over here and playing for a team here?
Yeah, so to answer your question before, when I left Forest, I'd signed a professional contract at 17, signed a 2-year contract, then another 2-year contract when I was 19. And throughout the time when I was at Forest, within the span of 4 or 5 years, there was 9 managers, I think.
Right, okay.
So as a young player coming through, it was very difficult to come through. We had some really good players amongst. We had players like Jamal Lascelles, now the Newcastle captain, Patrick Bamford at Leeds, Ben Osborne's just got his move to Sheffield United.
Yeah.
A lot of these players that we had that were coming through, for me it was very difficult. I felt as though because of the change of managers, it was very difficult. And my style of play, you know, more technical, and I got the impression that the first team manager at Forest who were in there were fairly old school, and they sort of didn't trust maybe a young player coming through. So when I was 21, in the last year of my contract, Stuart Pearce was the manager, and I had a really good pre-season with the first team, and then in September I fractured my leg, so I had a stress fracture in my fibula, and I was out for 4 or 5 months. And then during that time I was out, Stuart Pearce got fired, and then Steve Cottrell came in as the manager, and him coming in didn't know anything about me, didn't know who I was. All he saw was a kid that was injured and been out for a while. When I came back from injury, it was very difficult to try and impress, and that's it. I was released. At the time, I was, you know, it was heartbreak because
You spent your whole life there, didn't you?
exactly, and it was my boyhood club. You know, all I ever dreamed about was captaining Forest and playing there for the rest of my career. So to have that come to an abrupt stop, it was very shocking at the time, and I felt myself wanting to have a drastic change. And I looked into the markets in Europe, I looked into the markets in the States, Mexico, South America, and I just felt as though I had a connection with the States already because my grandfather lived in Arizona.
Okay.
And I just made a decision one day, I'm gonna go for it in the States. You know, the MLS is a league that is on the rise. You know, a lot more players at that time when I left Forest in 2015, a lot more players were starting to go over. You know, Beckham had started it, Gerrard, Lampard, and at the time it was a decision that I made fairly quickly, and I had to move quickly as well. So I got on a flight on a one-way ticket to Arizona to stay with my grandfather, and I arrived. I just packed my boots. I arrived at his house on a 90-day visa, and sat at his laptop and emailed coaches in the USL, NASL, MLS, and just basically said, "Here I am. I've got my boots. Can you give me a trial?" And not many teams replied to me. The first team that really replied to me was Orange County, a guy called Barry Venison. Barry Venison was the coach there. He replied to me straight away and was like, "Yeah, we'll get you out on a flight. Be here next week." So it was my first opportunity. We got there. Probably similar to you, that as you learn as you go along in the States. So the international ruling came into play because I had a really good trial there. Barry really liked me, but he was like, "We don't have any more international spots." Our general managers decided to sign a lad from Germany. We needed another defender, so we don't have any spots left. But I have a friend who is the manager of Minnesota United, Carl Craig, another Geordie, who I'm sure would love to see you. He gave me a quick call, put me in touch with him, and then I was on a flight from Orange County to Minnesota, and then 3 weeks later I signed my first professional contract in the States.
That's incredible. I didn't know any of that.
Yeah.
That's not really on your Wikipedia. You never thought about it, just did it. I should probably adjust that because that's quite a story.
Yeah.
And like, I'm sitting here. I've played a billion years, and I'm hearing that story, and that's getting like my hairs on the back of my neck like going. That's incredible because it's a real show of desire. Like your path coming through the academy and stuff is very different. But then you can see how that's affected your thinking from when the opportunity left you. Because, you know, as being British people, there's a lot of belief that like once you're in England, you just want to stay in England. Like most people never want to leave the place. They won't even tell you about other leagues. They've got no interest whatsoever. But in some ways, you're a bit like me, because I watch all leagues. I love the game, and the game's played more than just in England. So I could tell you a stat about a player playing in Ukraine or something just as much as I could tell you about a guy who's playing for Aston Villa. Like that stuff doesn't bother me.
Right.
And I was always looking to go and try and play abroad before I finished my career. So that mentality at 21, which is incredibly young, to think I want to go and do something completely different, then to buy the one-way ticket, then to email all those teams, like that's inspiring for me, because it shows how much you wanted to play the game.
Yeah.
Clearly you're good enough to play the game, but it's that desire matched with the ability is why you're such a big asset here. You've been a big asset everywhere that you've been.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? Like that's. I sound old and emotional, but I think I'm feeling old and emotional right now. That's legit.
Yeah.
That is so legit.
Yeah.
And I think I would hope that more people could see, like when people ask you, how do you make it? How do you make it? How do you make it? Obviously, you can give them an answer, but it's never the only answer. Lots of different ways to try and get to the place that you would like to be. Obviously, it doesn't guarantee that you'll do it, but if you want to do something, but you're not trying as hard as, say, this person or that person or whatever, what entitles you the opportunity to go and get that thing when someone else is showing more desire to go and get it?
Exactly.
That's really cool, man. That's throwing me off. That's throwing me off so much. That's throwing me off so much.
No,
but
I completely agree with what you say, though, because, most players in England, let's face it, there's so many players that are released from professional clubs at the age of 16 to 20.
Yeah.
And now with the added under 21 development, or under 23 now it is, I don't think that's good for the game. I honestly, my opinion is I genuinely don't think the under 23 development league is good for the game, because I feel like if like I was a player in England when I was 17, 18, I felt as though I could make the jump up to the first team, and I didn't need the development squad, and I felt like the development squad was just sort of like second best. You can have a contract with the development squad, but you're not quite good enough for the first team.
Yeah.
I feel like if you are generally good enough to play at that level, you should be able to be involved at 17, 18.
Yeah.
And that's where I was left, playing in the development squad for a long time. I didn't enjoy it, and when I got to 21, I left Forest. I could have, gone down to the lower leagues and the conference and maybe worked a second job and all that, but I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to get lost in the cycle. I didn't want to be like every other player that's released. I just wanted to do something different, and it could not have worked out. That I could have, thank God I didn't, but I could have got seriously injured. Anything can happen in football. But yeah, I mean, like you say, there was just the true desire inside me. I knew I had the ability to play professional football somewhere, but it was just the drive inside of me that I was probably a bit angry from what had happened at Forest, going through the club. And I was actually, having been at the club all those years, the way I was told I was being released was by letter through the post. And it did leave me with a really bitter taste in my mouth. And I think that was the fuel to give me even more dedication and put more effort into wanting to achieve what I want to do.
That's incredible. You named two people, by the way. I didn't know we had these links. So Stuart Pearce was my first ever coach. He gave me my debut. Kevin Keegan gave me my debut, but Stuart Pearce started my career. And then I also had Steve Cottrell as a coach when I was at Queen's Park Rangers as well. This is a majorly tiny world that we're living through here. But it's interesting what you say about the under 23s thing, because I kind of feel that it can be detrimental in some ways, especially because the way that I came through was slightly different, where if you were 18 or 19 and you weren't close to the first team, they didn't really want you there. You know what I mean?
No.
But there was nowhere else for you to go, so you just you're
stuck.
You're stuck, and they wouldn't give you a contract to get you to 21, 22, 23. Whereas now I feel like you can find some people who are playing for a club, or they might make their debut, and they're making the This is obviously different in the States compared to back home, but you're making your debut at 22 for your club. But from when I was younger, there's not a chance at 22 you'll be there if you've not made your debut yet.
That's the thing, and that's why the American market as well appealed to me, because what's classed as a young player in the States is 21, 22, 23, because most of the guys go to college and they come out of college and they're in a draft to the MLS or whatever. So that was another factor to me that was like, if I can still be considered as a young player, it'll open more doors for me.
Yeah, but relatively speaking, because of the fact you've trained with men and trained for that period, you'd be seen as like a younger player, but you've got an older head because you've been through 2, 3, 4 years of actually being surrounded by senior people, playing in that environment. So you're here now. What are your ambitions? Say, like, are you looking to go play for an MLS team? Are you looking to maybe go and travel the world again? Like, what is really driving you now?
From the moment I stepped off the plane in Arizona when I came on the trial, all I ever wanted to do was play in the MLS.
Yeah.
So that still is my goal. And as I learned the system and the international roster spots, I quickly learned that
it's tricky,
the green card was the way to go. And if I could perform well, so when I went to Minnesota, I signed halfway through the year, and then that was their last year in the NASL before they went to MLS. So at the time I thought it could be a potential opportunity here where if I play well for the remainder of the season, I could get an MLS contract. And that was the goal when I first signed for Minnesota. But the green card again came into the international roster spots. They said, they are like gold dust to us, and we do use the DP spots for the international roster spots and all this. So then my focus was always still MLS, but turned more towards trying to get a club to fund my green card.
Okay.
And then the following year I signed for Jacksonville Armada, had a really good year, and was the young player of the year there, and finally got the green card in a contract that I had. So hopefully at the end of this season I should receive a confirmation of my green card, so next season I'll be a non-international, which I'm hoping opens a door up to MLS. And all I'm doing this year is trying to play as well as I can and have that door open. But yeah, that's still my ambition, to play at MLS and get some appearances there, and then who knows what could happen from there.
Okay. So obviously you got a little bit coy at the end there, but you've mentioned MLS a lot there. I feel like a lot of people that come from England to move to America to play, they love it here so much that they choose to stay here. Like, are you settled here? Is this where you want to be for the rest of your life, or have you got ambitions to go back to England?
I have ambitions to go back to Europe at some stage, whether it is England, whether it's
Just
Spain.
to live or to play?
To play.
Okay.
So I would like to make the jump up to MLS and then see where it takes me. But as well, to live, I'd like to pick up another language, whether it's Spain, France, Italy. And ever since I came over to the States, I brought my girlfriend over, now I'm my wife, and now we have a son.
Mm-hmm.
It's...
She's taking root.
Yeah. She makes the decisions now.
Yeah, I know about that one.
No, we're open to traveling. That's all we've ever done since we've come to the States. So at the same time the football world doesn't offer you much security always.
Yeah, especially not over here.
No, then traveling is something that we're very open to, and we definitely want to travel the world more.
Do you know, there's a lot to be said for that family environment whereby you have people within it who are happy to do things like travel. Because I've played with some people where their family environment doesn't allow them to leave, say, the M25 down in London. Like, they must find a club that's close to London, otherwise they're not going to go. But like your mentality, like I'm very fortunate with mine as well, with my wife and my kids and stuff. We could go anywhere in the world and they'd happily be there if we're all together.
Mm.
When you realise what like home is and what family is.
Yeah.
Like, home is essentially where your family is, regardless of wherever it is in the world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's such an incredible feeling. And as well, with being over here, are you surprised there are not more sort of British or / English players that come across?
I am, and I'm also not, because I think that from my own experience, it's not easy to come over here and first of all make the decision that you want to leave England or leave Europe and come over to the States, but then also finding the right contacts, because it is two completely different markets.
Yeah,
and
special, isn't it?
Completely different. So I am surprised that more English players don't want to come over here, but at the same time I'm not surprised, because it's a difficult route to come over.
Do you find that the league over here is more, kind of feels sometimes like the rest of the world runs football a certain way, and then over here they run it closer to their traditional American sports?
It's definitely isolated to other parts of the world that football is. I mean, everyone knows about the promotion relegation.
Yeah, there's that. Like I can kind of get my head around that in some ways because of the fact that the owners buy in and stuff and say this money needs to be guaranteed and so on. But it would make it more competitive. But it's like, well, we want this player. Well, how about we offer you this spot here and we'll give you a bit of money here, and then this. It's like a trade. Like the fact it's called a trade instead of a transfer.
Yeah.
It literally is a trade. This player is available if you're willing to offer this or that or that or that.
Yeah.
Whereas normally anywhere else around the world it's either money or player.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's almost as if, you remember the old game, I don't know if you collected the cards at school, but it's almost as if the owners
literally,
just...
Yeah. But then but it's been fun for me because I fancied something different, having spent a lot of years playing in England, and I love doing it. I wanted a new experience, and as soon as I crossed over, in fact, before I even came over, when I was looking to come over, and you really look into how the league works, it's like mind-blowing.
Yeah.
It's just completely different to what I know. Even from the transfer windows to the way, like, I think the record transfer in the MLS might be like 2-3 million or something in between clubs. And I'm like, but it's like 2019. And there are people going for 200 million or whatever. But then that doesn't really happen very often, you know? Like, you try and learn it, and I found it exciting because I was stepping out into something which I'm not used to. Obviously, for a lot of people, there's the fear of the unknown, which we do tend to find back home, which is why a lot of people will never leave. And that's fair enough. But I think there's definitely something to be seen for travelling around the world and playing and seeing different cultures and seeing different things. Because a career can only last however long, but the memories that you create in a different environment, I think these will be the ones which I'll remember for probably the longest. But anyway, it's time to really get to it. As a human being that basically lives on YouTube, it just so happens that you have a YouTube channel, which I knew about, but I wasn't following until recently. So, being the creep that I am, obviously I was on Wikipedia, I was on Google, I was asking Siri about you. I asked
What did Siri have to say?
Siri said, this guy's alright, just follow these links and you'll find out some more. So yeah, I was happy to see that you have a page, or a channel rather. And when I looked at the channel, I was happy to see the content and the way that you were doing things. And it felt really familiar to me because we train in the same facility. Right. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, I've been in there. I've not done that stretching, but, you know, I've been in that space. Yeah. So let's have a chat about your YouTube channel for a minute.
Yeah. So I was, started it last year. So I was 2018, at the start of the year when I was playing for the Tampa Bay Rowdies. And the Rowdies as a club are really good for the media side. They have a really good core media group that really know how to broadcast the club and the players. So when I first saw that, it was sort of opened my eyes to a little different side to football, and you know, it really opened my eyes as well to the fans and how much the Rowdies at the time meant to the community and everyone around. And I made a decision. I spoke it through with my family, and I just thought, I'm in a situation where it's a privileged situation. It's a job that we do that a lot of people in the world aspire to become. And if I can give people a little insight into what it's like, the actual reality of what it's like, not what people think in the clouds
of course,
and all the, you know, the glitz and glam, but just the hardcore truth of what it's like. And if I can give people an insight to that and inspire them at the same time, that's the reason I started the YouTube channel. And I started it last year, and then Leo was born, so it took up a lot of time, so I stopped it, had a bit of a break, and then picked it up again this year. But it's something that I really enjoy. It's a hobby of mine that allows me to mentally relax, physically relax, concentrate on something completely different, but still connected to something that I know.
Yeah, that's really cool, man. Yeah, so we'll have a serious talk about, like, what real life football is one day, but just maybe not today, because, you know, it's been a long time already. We'll have a bit of fun now, yeah, if that's all right with you.
Yes.
Not too much.
I've been having fun already.
Yeah, well, like official fun now. This is the official part you're supposed to get into. Actually, we'll start a bit soft. So everything within football for me revolves around Messi and Ronaldo, because they're, in my opinion, they're the two best of this generation. They might never be replicated by anybody, but for all their strengths, what do you think their weaknesses are, the pair of them?
Wow, that's a difficult question.
It's not one you hear very often, is it?
It's not. Do you know, I think with those two players, I honestly think you can't treat them like any other player. I don't think you can even analyse them individually, because what they do is so special individually and unique, that even to the way that Messi runs, even to the way Ronaldo runs, is that no one else can emulate that. You know, they are just two greats of the game that, for me, there's no point in even comparing the two, because we should just enjoy it while it lasts.
And they do, in my opinion, they do technically play two different positions anyway.
Yeah.
You know, they're both attackers, but the way in which they attack is so different. It's not like they would go head to head with like Kane and Lewandowski or something.
Yeah.
Like one will score headers at the back post, amongst other things, and the other one will get the ball on the halfway line and play a ball which you've never seen before, not even on FIFA. Like if you try it on FIFA, it would break the game. You know what I mean? That type of person.
Yeah.
But yeah, weaknesses, like,
that's a tough question.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh, maybe show Messi onto his right foot. But the thing is, like, he'll just go back onto his left because that's just what he does, and he'll send you somewhere that you don't want to be.
No.
And then Ronaldo, obviously, like, that desire to score. Oh my God!
Yeah.
Anytime you play against any player who will literally break their back to put the ball in your goal, good luck to you.
Yeah.
Because you can try and match the desire, but I always say, if a defender and an attacker, the two best in the world, had a head-to-head together, and they both played at their absolute peak, the attacker would always score a goal, because he could just put one into the net from 50 yards away with a shot you've never seen before. Mm-hmm. So we're just, as defenders, we're just playing a losing game, where you can never guarantee a clean sheet. We can try and do stuff whereby if someone scores against you, they've had to earn it.
Yeah.
You know, that's a sad existence for a defender. Whereas an attacker's like, well, you know, just give me the ball 30 yards out, I'll put it top corner. I'll just put it up in the air, I'll head that. You know what I mean? It must be nice.
I also think as well that the thing that's most admirable about both of them, the huge respect I have for both of them, is the fact that they've not had it easy either. You know, coming out of both of them poverty in a way, and to make it where they are now, and also the personality that they have to have, and the class that they have to hold themselves, and the respect they have to hold. They can't slip up in any aspect of the world.
Listen, if one of them scores only 3 goals in a month, it's a crisis.
Yeah.
But for 10 years, basically, they've made sure they've not had a single crisis. You know what I mean? And like, he's injured. Oh, is this the downfall of whoever finished the season 40 goals? Like, nah, I'll be all right. Right, so pride exists in life, as we all know. And it's also a very big subconscious factor within football. What would you rather pick here? Would you rather be the least important player in a winning team, or the MVP in a losing one, across like the whole season?
I think it'd still be a winning team.
You'd like to?
I think so, yeah. Because for me,
this is a guy who takes penalties, who takes free kicks. You're telling me that you would like give up the limelight altogether to be the least important player?
I'm trying to think about how I feel if, you know, if my team has lost and I've played in the game, and if our team have won and I've not played in the game, and I generally think that the thought of losing and being in a losing team outweighs that, because we all work hard as professionals, but to be working hard day in, day out, and grafting day in, day out, to then be on a losing team all the time, I think that would be the worst feeling out of the two of them. I mean, they're both not great feelings, but
I'm glad you're finally honest. I was like, come on, just say the thing that you're actually thinking.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's cool. That's cool. It's great and all that. But I did the last podcast with Corey Baird, and I added to this type of question by saying, future-wise, it's more dangerous to be the least important player in a winning team.
That's true, yeah.
As opposed to being the MVP in a losing one. Mm. Because one, you could be going up, whereas the other one, you could just be dropping down. Mm. So you're sure you're going to stick with your answer?
I'm still going to stick with it, yeah.
That's alright. I'll literally, like, hang on a second. If you, in this season, have I seen you wrestling the ball away from someone to score a penalty or a free kick? Does that happen?
No, I don't think so.
Who am I thinking of? You've not just gone and just scooped the ball out of someone's hand and just said, I'm taking this. But now you're telling me you'd rather be...
With penalties, me and Michael Chang take it in turns. So we do alternate penalties. Free kicks is slightly different.
Right. I'm going to have to go and look at some film and I'll get back to the
Yeah.
listeners on that one.
Pull up the clips.
Okay, so while I was at QPR, I played with a lot of very big names and stuff. Same at City, but at QPR for a spell, I played with Rio Ferdinand.
Right.
In my opinion, he's top 3 best centre-backs in Premier League history. Really good guy, exceptional player, bred the game like it was flipping child's play or whatever. And he would tell me stories about what it was like to be at United, the way that they used to win games, their approach. And they also used to tell me about Sir Alex Ferguson and what made him so different to the rest. Apparently he's a really compassionate guy, and he would always try and speak to the players. And one of the things he always used to do, they'd be in a hotel before every game. And then he said if you heard footsteps down the corridor, you knew someone was in trouble, but in trouble because they weren't going to play. So he would knock on the door and he'd say to this player, I'm not going to play tomorrow. Say this is a Friday before a Saturday game. I'm not going to play tomorrow, but I'm going to play you in the Champions League midweek. But I'm going to play you in this game in 10 days. And for his whole tenure there, I don't believe he lied to a player one time. So he did that his whole time. So you couldn't really fight it because he's letting you down, but also picking you up by putting the trust in you and giving you time to plan for something. If he was your coach and he did that, but the game the next day was in your hometown, the biggest game of your personal life because it was against this team, and you had all your friends and family going and all this, and he said, I don't want you to play in this game, I want you to play in midweek against, say, like bottom of the league, would you say anything?
To Alex Ferguson.
To Sir Alex Ferguson.
Sir Alex Ferguson. Wow. I think I'd have to. Yeah. I think I'd have to put across my opinion.
Dear me, have you heard this? Oh my god. Oh god, are we going to cut this? Are we just going to let this run?
But in a lighter way. Not. I wouldn't say exactly what I want to say.
Whoa.
No, it's a difficult question.
What would you do?
You're full of these difficult questions, aren't you?
I like this one because, like, I can play on people's like emotions because we know what it's like to play in a big game for us.
Yeah.
Like the big games for clubs and the big games for players, the ones where family come in and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then if you're not playing, whoa.
Thinking about it even more, I think the thought of not playing in front of friends and family in a big game versus having Sir Alex Ferguson scream in my face.
One thing, you wouldn't necessarily scream in your face, but you might lose trust in you.
That probably outweighs it then. Yeah, I probably wouldn't say anything.
Yeah, I think that'd be the same for me. I think I'd pretty much just cry myself to sleep. And, I'm okay. Sob and all that stuff. But he's just one of those iconic coaches, isn't he?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And to be trusted by someone as great at their job as him, unfortunately far outweighs that moment in time.
Yeah.
Even though it'll affect your pride and all this stuff.
Yeah. I think as well, like reading his autobiography and the book that he put out, it seemed like he had a real good relationship with his players as well. You know, when Cantona left and he sent him that letter and all that, I think as a coach and as a manager in the career that he had, to still be honest with the players and to tell them straight to their face, I'm not playing you, this is the reason why. I think there's not a better move from a coach than to do that, than to earn trust from the players. Yeah,
honesty does bring trust because honesty can sometimes disappoint you, but there's certain things which you can cope with because you know why. You might disagree with it, but you might be able to break that further down the line because you knew why in that moment, instead of being lied to and forever just chasing something that might not necessarily ever be there.
Right.
So you're a guy, I'd say you've got 8 goals. You've got 8 goals in 20 games. How many assists have you got?
1, I think.
Oh,
yeah.
No, I might have to bin this question.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, like, would you rather, like, never score again, never assist again, but you'd never assist anyway? So that one kind of looks after itself.
I got a few assists in training to you, I think.
Well, I doubt that, because I don't think I scored. Right, to wrap it up, because yet again I've spoken for way too long, but I've had a good chat. Actually, 2 things. Who's the best player nobody's talking about that you've played with or played against?
That nobody's talking about?
Like a proper sleeper.
Wow, that's a tough one. I think I go back to the NESL days as well. There was a kid in the Miami team, Martinez, and I always answer this, and when someone asks me who's one of the best players you played against, and there was a guy called Martinez who was a number 10, a South American player, and he ran me ragged the whole game. But it was his ability to do everything in the game. He was running in behind, he was checking to come to feet, turning, just his ability on and off the ball that caused nightmares for me. That was probably the best performance I've seen someone against me directly that no one's talking about.
Yeah, that's proper. That links to something which Pep Guardiola, I think, said to, I forget who I've played with it, it's been with him, but he said there's some players who can run with the ball, and there's some that can run without it.
Mm-hmm.
The ones who can run without it as well as with it, they're hell on earth. You know what I mean? Because some people always want to come short, I need the ball to my feet to do something.
Yeah.
But those ones where like they're just constantly just making you uncomfortable.
It's a defender's nightmare, isn't it?
Oh my God. Any runner from midfield, like, no, just go away.
Yeah.
Leave me alone. Whereas the ones, like, the technically good ones always want to come short. I'm chilling, like, literally, at my big old age, if I don't have to turn and run back towards my goal, I'm so happy. So, can you give me your fancy five-a-side team?
I can.
I'll let you know if it's terrible, by the way.
Does there have to be an out-and-out defender in it?
No. You play it however you want.
So my keeper, I'm going with Rogerio Ceni. Any keeper that can score free kicks and the amount of goals that he scored in his career.
Well, that is a curveball if ever I heard a curveball.
That's my keeper for small-sided.
Okay.
Because I know that he's gonna save. He's probably gonna make a few decent saves.
Yeah.
But with the ball, he's gonna be an absolute baller.
Okay.
So I need him in the team.
I like that thinking.
The way I thought about it is, who are the players in the world, past and present, that I would not want to play against?
Uh-huh.
So my defender, my holding mid would be Kante.
Okay, yeah, that's not a bad shout actually. He's been getting slept on by a few people.
I think he would be by far one of the worst players to play against in small-sided.
Just won't give you
He won't give you a yard of space, but he can also finish.
Yeah, I've seen that recently.
On the left, cutting inside, I'd have Ronaldinho.
Ooh, that's a solid bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, solid. That's legit.
Through the middle, I'd go with Zidane. Yeah, I think like you were saying, as a midfielder, running with and without the ball, I think as a hold-up player, he's the big frame, a ball at his feet, he can do anything.
Big Zuzu, okay.
And then on the right, Messi.
Okay.
So that'd be my five-side.
You know what? That's all right.
Yeah.
That's all right. The people will judge you.
Yes.
But
I'm
now
sure.
the curveball again. That team has to play against the five-a-side of your team right now. Who do you pick in that five?
Ooh. From the Monarchs.
From the Monarchs. Obviously, you wouldn't be highly favoured to win the game. But who? Who would you pick to give yourself the best opportunity of not losing by more than 10 goals?
Wow.
Look, disclaimer: this isn't like picking out the best players as such from the team. It's picking out the best players for this moment in time.
For the small-sided.
Yeah, based on who you're playing against.
So I think I'd go with a Choro's goalkeeper and small-sided.
Yeah.
Springy, likes to make the camera saves.
The only thing with Ochoa though, I think he quite enjoys it when big names score past him. But yeah, I'm with that. Go on.
Are you one of those big names?
Nah, don't even get me started. Don't even get me started. Never received a high five from sliding past the keeper before I came here.
Okay, here we go. I think, especially after his goal at the weekend, Noah Powder would be up there.
That goal was nice, huh?
That goal was nasty.
That's the second nicest goal I've seen since my own. But yeah.
It was a bit like yours for Sunderland against Chelsea.
Well, it was. Yeah, I was impressed. I was impressed. Yeah, it was a very good goal.
I think so. I'm not. It's
listen. Save your legs. Put someone else in.
Yeah,
there.
I'm not putting myself in there. Douglas Martinez up top.
Yeah. He'd cause problems.
Yes, he would. On the right, cutting inside would be Michael Chang.
Okay.
And then my player to go get the ball for us.
This can be anyone that's played for you this season.
I think it'd be after Caelan Ryden.
Really?
I think it would
you
be.
put him in there?
I think I would.
Oh, he'd be in a spin cycle.
I think I would. I think I would. Up against Zidane? Come on, son.
Yeah, go on, Kay. Just press him. Just press him.
He's my boy as
Go
well,
back
so
up,
I have full trust in him.
And is that 4? Or have you got one more?
That's my 5-a-side. Caelan, Noah, Douglas, and Cheng.
Right. It's not bad at all.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Would you like to give your YouTube page channel another shout out?
Yeah, it's just www.youtube.com/Jack Blake.
So we need subscribers.
Yes,
We need
please.
people to ring the bell.
Yep.
So you get notified when there are new videos.
Yep,
Is that
yep.
is that what people say?
Yeah, there's a notification bell you can press, yeah.
Yeah, and just like and share, comment, all that stuff.
Like, comment, you know, I always enjoy interacting with the subscribers as well, so anyone that comments on the videos with what they'd like to see on upcoming videos, any ideas people might have, I'm open to anything, so.
Yeah, top class, man. Well,
Yeah.
thank you very much, Jack. Thank you to producer Ryan in the back for staying quiet and letting us concentrate on what we're doing. Thank you to Mountain Air Studios, Draper, Utah, and to the listeners. You've been top class as always. Feel free to reach out to us at digital@rsl.com. Sorry, that's for a voice note at digital. Sorry, a voice note can be sent at digital@rsl.com. Please reach out to Jack. Are you on any of his social media?
Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jack Blake 94.
Please tweet him. Like, just bombard him with info. But yeah, thank you very much for listening, and until next time. Top man.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's class. Really enjoyed that
was
one.
good, man.
That's my favourite one so far.
Really?
Yeah.
That was a good one, man.